Hello viewers, welcome to Info Oasis, the Oasis of Information. I'm Mansa Musa and you're watching my channel. So before continuing any further on this video, I just want to deliver a short message to my friend who lives in the United States of America. He asked me to do a video on neutron stars next. So since I haven't done much research about that, I'm still doing a sort of research on neutron stars. I just wanted to tell him that soon I'll post a video on neutron stars. Maybe the second or third video after this video is going to be about neutron stars. So this was the message from my friend who lives in the US, and now let's get started. So when I ask you a question of who is the richest person in the world, you would say Jeff Bezos. Or if I asked you the same questions a few years back, you would have said Bill Gates. But if I tell you that even if you combine the wealth or the net worth of Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates and put it together, it would be no match for the wealth of a man who lived in Africa, who ruled a kingdom in Africa way back in 1312, in a period between 1312 to 1337 for 25 years. Would you believe it? While some of us might relate Africa to poverty and struggles, we overlook the fact that Africa has very much, prosperous and rich natural resources. So in terms of natural resources, Africa is the richest continent. So this story is going to be about the ruler of the great Mali Empire, Mansa Musa. It's also believed that Black Panther's inspiration is Mansa Musa, and Wakanda is a sort of epitome of Mali back then. So let's start off. Mansa Musa was born in 1280 in the Mali Empire, and he succeeded his brother Abu Bakr II. So basically there's a story, there's a sort of anecdote which really happened, which led to the succession of Mansa Musa. So Abu Bakr II wanted to know the end of the world. He wanted to see where all the ocean in the world drains out. He wanted to venture beyond the Atlantic Ocean, and he wanted to explore beyond that. So he's initially, rather than embarking on the expedition himself, he sent 200 boats filled with men and another 200 boats filled with ornaments, food, medicines, doctors. He sent 400 boats in totals in an expedition to find out the point where all the ocean in the world, drains out. All the oceans in the world drain out. He just wanted to find the place, and he wanted to venture beyond the Atlantic Ocean, as I mentioned. So, all the boats went, and the venture terribly failed because, as we all know right now, that Earth is a sphere, and there's no particular point where all the oceans in the world drain out. But back then they didn't know it. Abu Bakr II didn't know it. So only one or two boats returned, and the men in the boats, they informed him about their misfortune. So Abu Bakr II, he really wanted to find out the end of the world. He wanted to venture beyond the Atlantic Ocean. So he himself took an expedition of around 2,000 boats, and he went. And before embarking on his journey, he had to entrust his kingdom to someone. But if it was someone very close to him, they might conspire against him because they had a greater influence or a greater share on the throne. So he took, Mansa Musa, his brother, and he entrusted him with the job of taking care of the empire till he returns. So Mansa Musa has become the king. It was expected to be a cameo performance, or a cameo sort of reign by Mansa Musa, and many people even considered him to be a substitute ruler, and he wasn't the main ruler because they were sure that Abu Bakr II would return. But as it turned out, Abu Bakr II never returned. It's believed that he died on the way. So this is what is called luck, and Mansa Musa became the ruler of the great Mali Empire. Under him, the Mali Empire reached its zenith. He was very powerful. He was very, rich. And Mali was importing items like gold and salt, and this brought a lot of prosperity, and it drew the attention of a lot of traders towards Mali, and he became the richest emperor in the world. So Mansa Musa's, prestige spread in all the four corners, and he expanded the Mali Empire by including countries like Senegal, Ivory Coast, Nigeria, Chad. He included a lot of other countries. He piled up a lot of neighboring countries, and he formed the great Mali Empire. And the extent of the Mali Empire was comparable to the extent of the Mongol Empire back then. So, the glory of the Mali Empire was awesome. It reached all the four directions, a lot of various other continents. All the people started respecting Mansa Musa, and Mansa Musa was very generous. And in 1312, as I said, he ascended the throne and he ruled for 25 years till 1337. On 1324, it's the most important part of the story regarding Mansa Musa. He wanted to go on a pilgrimage to Mecca. As we all know, Muslims consider Mecca as the holiest place, and it's a mandate for each and every Muslim to visit Mecca on a pilgrimage to the Hajj. And Mansa Musa wanted to become the first member in his clan to visit the Mecca. So he takes along with him 60,000 people, including the citizens of his city, the servants, the workers, soldiers, artists who can entertain him. And he took a huge caravan filled with a lot of animals, so that they could cook them on the way, and a lot of other animals which could carry the loads, and like camels, horses, mules, elephants. And all the camels were decorated with 136 to 140 kilograms of gold. And wherever he went, he just lavishly threw out and splashed out the gold coins on the poor people. And when he reached Egypt, this was the most important point of his journey towards Mecca. He saw a lot of poverty in Egypt, and he took a handful of gold coins and he flung it in all the four directions. And the amount of gold coins which was flung by him was enough to make each and every poor household rich. So as a result, no one went to work. So that economy obviously took a big hit. And then what happened was, each and every member of the caravan of Mansa Musa, they went out and lavishly spent money on the goods in Egypt. And if a good's value was 1 dinar, they paid 5 dinars for it. And basically, for a short period of time, this was a sort of profit for the Egyptian traders. But if you see at a longer point of time, for a longer period of time, it proved out to be a big hit towards the Egyptian economy. And it took 12 years for Egypt to come back, or to fight back this particular economic downfall. So this is what happened in Mansa Musa's journey towards Mecca in Egypt, where he came to a sort of station in Egypt. And then he presented as a gift to the Egyptian Sultan an amount of 150 kilograms of gold. This is another staggering amount of gold which was presented. And then he reaches Mecca, he completes his pilgrimage. He was spellbound by the mosques and the artisans, the skilled professionals over there in Mecca, and he called each and every one of them, and he offered high salary and high amount of gold to them, and he invited them to come to his country and serve them as well. And Mansa Musa built a lot of mosques over there in Mali. Ibn Battuta was a historical traveler, and 1352, when he traveled to various parts in Africa, he found that the praises of Mansa Musa were still being sung even after his reign was completed. And in 1339, another historian came to Mali and Egypt. Even the Egyptians were very much thankful to Mansa Musa for helping them out. He was very generous, and on his return journey from Mecca, he was believed to be robbed, and as a result, he took some sort of loans from the Egyptian traders. As he came once again to Egypt, he took some loans from the Egyptian Sultan and the Egyptian rulers. He built a lot of mosques. Mali became the center of Islamic learning. He literally gave a lot of scope of development to Africa, particularly the Mali Empire. A lot of countries benefited from this, and he was very much rich as well as very much generous. So, as I said, under him, Mali Empire was at its peak, at its zenith. Its glory was compared to the glory of empires like the Mongol Empire, and a lot of other empires during that time. So, a lot of Europeans took notice to this, and they were spellbound by Mansa Musa's incredible wealth. And Mansa Musa, after his death, his sons took over the kingdom, and they basically ruined it. So it was split up into the number of sons which he had, and it basically led to the downfall of his empire. So this was all what I had to share with you about the richest man to have ever lived on earth. So if you have any sort of comments or suggestions, please leave it below. And I want to ask you a question. What do you think is the greatest highlight of Mansa Musa, his wealth or his generosity? Leave it in the comment box below. So for now, I'm signing off and I'll be back with another video tomorrow. Thank you.